evening. Welcome to Talkin Kop. It's me, Chris Brack, and I'm joined with my two friends, Kev and Ashley. How are we both doing?
All good, all good. Looking forward to this.
Actually, still on location, shooting off. Kev, we're still
nice
in shitty Rutger and shitty Cork. It's not quite the same, is it, mate?
No, definitely not. It's fairness. It's I look today. I think we had a mini storm all day long, so it was lashing rain, cold, grey, damp, Irish summer. Yeah, it's normal.
Yeah.
Definitely do with a bit of where Ashley is today, with the sun shining, and looking forward to a nice holiday, couple of days.
The choice. So what we thought we'd do is we'll do a bit of a review where the Euros is up to, because I think it's been pretty decent, Ash, don't you? Some interesting results. Not a dull game, but England can't give you excitement all the time. But in general, what have you thought of the round of 16?
I think the games have been good. Obviously, England aside, I think there's been intrigue and drama, and you wanted a couple of upsets. I think the Turkey game was great. I thought it was raining and you just had players flying everywhere, and I found that really enjoyable. So overall, I've been really impressed with the tournament. I'm pleased with the quality so far. I think you're kind of seeing players tail off a little bit with maybe a little bit of fatigue, but I'm pleased with where it's at so far.
Cool. Kev, what have you thought of it so far, the round of 16?
Yeah, listen, when it gets to knockout football, you're always going to get the games that are wars of attrition, and you've got sides who are afraid to lose rather than try to win. Most games are like that. The one, I think, that stood out a country mile were Spain and Georgia. Georgia taking the lead, and I just thought, okay, we'll see what Spain are made of now. They had a nice, comfortable-ish group stage. They were getting all the plaudits for their attacking football. Georgia went 1-0 up, and Spain just dominated the game. Their wingers were unbelievable. Fabian Ruiz as well in midfield was outstanding. And the changes they made. I think 4-1 is a bit of an unfair reflection, really, on the quality of the game.
Georgia played well.
I thought Georgia played well. Kvaratskhelia is an outstanding player. Yes. Looks PSG bound, I think. But it was it was a standout game for a side to watch. I thought France-Belgium was poor.
It was attritional, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Portugal-Slovenia was another one that was absolutely dog rough.
We'll come to that, because that was like watching an under-10s game for yeah.
It was so bad. Romania got to, they did well. Netherlands just looked on another level. And to be honest, the 50-50 game going into the group, Austria-Turkey, it was a toss-up. It was end-to-end. It was a great game, and it could have gone either way at the end as well. It was, hats off to Turkey for winning it, but I don't think Austria played badly in that either. It's just one of those, someone had to lose, and Turkey got the edge and got the win. But I think it set up some quarterfinal ties that could be anything. Every quarterfinal that I'm looking at, they're games you don't want to miss, because for different reasons, they could be absolute barnstormers, all of them, including England, Switzerland, for any reason you want to look at. We'll go into all of them, but
that's because the Swiss are quite entertaining. That's the reason.
It is. It's mental at the minute.
Rob Branick knows what he's talking about. Who knew?
Everyone except for the hierarchy at Old Trafford. Thank God.
Well, let's go. What we'll do, we'll have a bit of a chat on each of the games, and then we'll then have our preview of the quarterfinals, and we'll do some predictions for a bit of a laugh, where Ashley can show me up again like she normally does when I get it wrong and Ashley gets it right. The standard, as Kev knows. So, Switzerland, Italy probably wasn't as big a shock as many thought, because I think when you look at the sides, you go like, I don't know about you, Ashley, but you go like, I think more of the Swiss players than I do the Italian players. And maybe that's more of an indictment of where the Italian team is. You just kind of look at the Swiss just look better defensively, more balance in midfield, and they just look a threat all the time going forward. Italy, you're a bit of this is not the Italian side we saw win the Euros a few years ago. It was a lot more organised. And as Kev pointed out before, the manager probably did a lot for them as well.
Yeah, I mean, I expected more from them personally. I expected them to at least try to go forward. Like, we all know that Italy's going to sit back and sit back and defend, rather, excuse me. But I thought they'd at least have a go. I mean, I think Switzerland just outclassed them altogether. They looked very much like, you know, the proverbial Swiss watch. Like, they're very finely tuned. And I mean, Xhaka looks like a man reborn. You know, between his season at Leverkusen and then coming into this team, I mean, he's getting them taking over in a way that I think Arsenal always wanted him to take over, but he never really could. So yeah, I think what is it, Akanji and Shar in the back? I think they look really defensively solid. So going into this game, yeah, that's true. I mean, going into this game, like, they're almost everything that England isn't. Like, they've got a system that they know inside and out, and they have a way of attacking. They have a solid back line. They have a midfield that works. And it's like, can England come up with something? I mean, they really got in. It was a miracle that they got through, in my opinion. I think it was the very last gasp. And I think it's up to Southgate to determine whether or not he's going to use this sort of like fairy godmother wish that he gets to go one more time. Is he going to use it, or is he just going to stick with the same old, same old?
Yeah, that's pretty much prototype. Kev, let's talk about Germany, Denmark, because this seemed to boil a bit of piss with journalists. But Denmark, I thought, were really threatening. Germany probably not as impressive as we've seen them in earlier rounds, but you know, Germans do what Germans do. They always find a way. But it all seems to hinge on a 60 seconds where Denmark score, disallowed because he's just offside. And he is just offside. And do you know what? If it had been given where there's no VAR, I guarantee we would have had a conversation going, oh, you know, he's probably just off there. You know, he's probably got a bit of luck there. You know, with the offsides, like, with such the semi-automatic thing now, because it's not an idiot drawing a line. If you're off, you're off. It's unfortunate, but you are.
Yeah.
I don't like the penalty. Now, I think the lady on what I was watching ITV, the American lady who explains the refereeing decisions, she explained it perfectly. She said, by the current rules, that is a penalty. But she says, that doesn't mean we like it. Because I don't like that as a penalty, because I think he's too close. It is a natural position because he's turning his body away. It's not like he's sticking his arm out, a la John Terry used to do. But that's not down to VAR. That's not down to the official. That's the IFAB. They've decided, and this handball rule changes every 2 years anyway. That's the only thing I don't like about it. It's not a wrong decision, as in it's factually correct by the rules, but it's not the type of penalty you like seeing given, because I don't know what else the lad could do.
Well, the thing is, if the referee doesn't give it or doesn't stand by that decision, his tournament's over. He goes home. Simple as that. You're right. By the letter of the law, with the way the law is written, that is a penalty in today's football. And there's nothing worse than a commentator and a pundit saying "back in my day."
Yeah.
It goes through me like a rusty nail, because one, they haven't a clue what they're talking about when it comes to the rules of the game, and two, they haven't even bothered to try to find out. That's a handball every day, twice on Sundays in today's football. It just is. I don't like it, and until they change the rules and they give referees leeway to make judgment calls on distance and context of a game and context of body movement, they're stuck with the rule that they have. So at the end of the day, it's a penalty.
Yeah,
Havertz put it away. They go 1-up. I'll be honest. I think Denmark were always in it, but they never really. Højlund never really got into the tournament.
Højlund had a bit of a Nunes game, didn't he? Where he get two big chances, and he was insistent on it. As soon as I'm through, I'm going to blast it. Which, to be fair, that isn't really his game, because even his thing I always thought of him when he was at United was it was more of a controlled pass. You know, the pass finish, which normally does keepers. It kind of
in fairness to him, he didn't, when he was playing for Manchester United last season, they didn't create many what you call good chances, good quality chances. But when they did, he went on a scoring run and he looked confident. He looked like a decent boy, to be fair. It's just hasn't come for it. It hasn't worked for him. And Denmark, I said Denmark were always in it, but I always felt Germany were a level above. You know, Musiala scores that second, and that killed the game. They saw that. I mean, they managed it out from there really well. You know, they're a very good side. Their test is yet to come. Their test is to come.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, obviously, the other frustration is, you know, because I know the pundits was like proximity. I said it doesn't matter now. Proximity's not even a thing, which is bizarre because surely if it was 5-10 yards when it hits his hand, well, you've got time to get your hand out of the way. So fair enough.
Look, in all fairness, we got to go in the Champions. We got to go in the Champions League final for exactly that. Matt, they kicked the ball out of his hand, you know, and it was given. Wasn't complaining about it. They're saying thank you very much. You know, but there's no way now that should be given as a penalty, not in a month of Sundays. But the way the rules are, it is. You know, that's why you get so many defenders nowadays defending with their hands behind their back. It's unnatural. Of course it is. But they do it because they know the defenders, the players, know the rules and they know the context that if a ball bounces up at me and my arm is away from my silhouette, any way, shape, or form, it's going to be given. Because if it's not given, the referee doesn't get a game next week because he didn't follow the rules. You know, that's just a fact of life, unfortunately.
Who'd have known Albi Moreno was a trendsetter, you know? He's so good berserker and you were going, maybe he was onto something, maybe he knew what was coming. So actually, you get the fun game. You get England. Fuck me. Honestly, I was at a family party, so we had it on, and I could be perfectly honest. When Bellingham scored the overhead kick, I think I texted Kev at the same time. I think you laughed at I put a tweet out went, "Oh fucking hell, I've got about half an hour of this shit." And I'd rather they just got out because it was so turgid. It was the only shot on target. You know, I listened when England were 1-0 down. They deserved to be 1-0 down. They were just tepid, turgid.
It's horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think I put in the Telegram chat that it would be daylight robbery if they got through, and I genuinely feel like it was daylight robbery that they got through. I mean, it's kind of what you'd expect from England, though, depending on individual brilliance to get them through the game. They should have been able to get through that game comfortably. They should not have had to wait until the 90th or the 96th minute to get through that game. There was no reason for it, but they're not functioning the way that they're playing right now. And I don't think Southgate can even see it.
No. I mean, Mark Goldbridge, you know, I saw one of his clips of his show, and he made a good point, which was like, did you need Kyle Walker on second half? Because basically, there was no defending to be done. He was basically playing right wing. So if he goes to play right wing, slinging crosses in, you may as well throw Trent on.
Yeah.
Because he's the better crosser of the ball and use it to his advantage. Trent was never coming out of that game. You could see all the way through he wasn't. The bit that stuck in my craw a little bit, you know, was the last 15 minutes of the extra time, which was like 2-1 up somehow. And he takes off Bellingham, takes Kane, and it was put defensive players on as what we have, we hold. You're like, why are you inviting pressure? Because it's not a good thing to do. You know what I mean? Maybe it might give him a wake-up call, because to be fair, Tony looked good when he came on, but he just looked like an experienced pro who knows his game inside out, knows how to win frees, knows how to do flick-ons, did really well to set Kane up. You know, who else came on? Sorry. Palmer, just direct. You know, it's kind of what you want. And I'm a bit like, I think you're going to have to accept you may have to bench Phil Foden. And listen, it's not the end of the world if you have Phil Foden on the bench to come off, you know, to come off the bench to make an impact. Plenty of other countries do it, you know, rotate players. But he just doesn't want to seem to do it. And I think he's just naturally conservative, and it's dull.
Yeah. I mean, there's an argument to be made to have Phil Foden almost be on the bench and have him get angry and see what he's like when he comes on as a sub after being benched. I mean, he's not doing anything right now because him and Bellingham and Kane, I think they're just all occupying the same spaces right now. It's just getting really, really crowded right there. And I don't know. I mean, there are players that have come in that have looked so much better than the starting 11. And I just don't think he has the courage There are other words that I could use, but I don't think he has the courage to actually.
The bollocks. Is that the phrase you're looking for?
Yeah, sure, we can go with that. Like I would pull Kyle Walker. I'd play Trent in his natural right back position and see what happens. He needs runners to make that work, though. I don't know. I think he'll still keep his tried and trusted kind of regulars, though. I would be surprised if he changed it. I mean, there's a little bit of talk going on,
Back
in
three.
the media about a back three. I mean, could it be worse than what they're doing already? I don't know. I mean, there's potential.
I mean, Kev, I messaged you when the game's on saying, from what I can see from an England point of view, the easy way to get into England has been the same way for the last 3 or 4 games, which is down England's right-hand side, just play a long ball over the back. Kyle Walker ain't running back. And the one time he was back, which was for the Slovakia goal, where he was about 6 yards behind playing everyone upside. He's practically holding Pickford's hand, which is impressive because it's quite he's only got little arms.
Look, let's not kid ourselves. Slovakia had 1 or 2 efforts in 95 minutes in that game. In the first 90 minutes, they had 1 effort on goal that they scored from that they were gifted, and they sat back and England had some like nearly 70% of the ball all the way through. They just couldn't build an attack for love nor money because of the players that were on the pitch. And it's been the same way England have played for every game throughout the tournament. They've dominated the ball, but when it gets to the final third, they just can't break low blocks down. They struggle to do it. And I said to you, I texted you straight after the game, and when Gahey is going to miss this next game, I said to you, England have to play a back three. They should play a back three with Walker, Stones, and Konza as your back three. They should play Saka as a wing back on the left, and they should play Trent as a wing back, right mid on the right. Play Kane up front with a Watkins or a Toney, and pick any midfield you like. Because I wouldn't mind seeing Foden playing in the midfield as an 8. Put Bellingham and Rice together, put Rice and Mainu together, and drop Bellingham out of it altogether. Because in fairness, if it wasn't for the bicycle kick, he did the sweet sum of nothing in that game. He was atrocious. Bellingham has had a good 30 minutes in this tournament. That was the first 30 minutes in the first game. Since then, he's been anonymous, waving his arms around, pointing at people. No more different to Kane. In all fairness, Kane and Bellingham should both be dropped. Just purely on quality of play for the last 4 games. If you were playing players on merit, those 2 would be the first 2 players off the team sheet for their game against Switzerland. And the one thing you're going to get with the Swiss is they're going to dominate the ball.
Yep.
The Swiss are going to dominate the ball. They're going to dictate play. So you have a squad of 23 players that you can pick from. Pick the players to do a job to get through to the next round, because that's the whole object. You can play. If England turn in a fabulous performance and lose on penalties, what's the point? Where if they're boring, turgid, and get through 1-0, in 10 years' time when they're talking about a quiz question, they're not going to say about who did England beat in the quarterfinals. Wasn't that a crap game? Nobody cares. Nobody cares how you get to a final and win a tournament. It's the case you get to a final and win a tournament. That's it. Doesn't matter how you do it. Doesn't matter how badly you play through a tournament. In all honesty, you look at all 8 teams that are in the quarterfinals stage, and you could argue that 3 of them have played well. There's at least three there that need to kick on, that have it in them to kick on. And there are 2 of them in there that are probably playing on par and where they should be. But it doesn't matter. It's all about getting through to the next round. Switzerland should be going into this as favourites. The English press will talk up England left, right, and centre, and the bookies will probably have England favourites. But in reality, I'm basing it on the football you've seen for the last 4 games. So the Swiss are going into this in form and favourites for me. So it's just a case of what England turn up, and if Southgate sticks to a back 4 and plays 4-2-3-1, they're going out, because they're missing Guehi. They're gonna, if he tries to play Konza with John Stones next to him, Walker and Trippier as your fullbacks, the Swiss will have a field day. Granit Xhaka will pick passes and bypass England's midfield because their inability to press. And he will pick passes left, right, and centre because he's very, very good at doing it. I think it's got the potential to be one of the games of the quarterfinal stage that has the most drama in it, but it won't be the highest quality game by any stretch. But I don't think much is going to decide it. I think it's a flip of a coin. It could go either way. And it's one of those games that if it goes 120 minutes and penalties, it wouldn't surprise you. Or if it's won by either side by the odd goal in the 90,
we'll come to predictions, Kev. You're wrecking the agenda.
I know.
God's sake, there's got to. Right, we've already talked about Spain, Georgia, how good that was. So you get the exciting one, Ashley. France, Belgium. Okay, now it was
two wonderful games, don't you?
You're getting the. It's all right. Kev's got the Portugal game next to talk about. Don't worry. But on paper, you're like, oh, two heavyweights. It's very like what was in the Premier League. Two big sides cancelled each other. It was dull.
Yeah, I think they kind of like out tacticked each other to the point where they absolutely like canceled out all of their good things. I think by dropping De Bruyne back deep into that 6 role, I think they were trying to, confuse the French and kind of throw them a curveball, but they completely nullified him. They nullified their best player for, I want to say, 3/4 of the game. And it was like they were both doing like a big game of chicken. Like, who's going to go at it first? And they just both decided not to go at it in the long run. And I don't know. I mean, I didn't expect much from Belgium. I mean, golden generation and all that, but they're on the tail end of the golden generation. They've got a few star players left from that. But I did expect more from France. I expected them to get in some sort of gear. I don't think they've scored a goal themselves yet, except for a penalty. The other two
they haven't scored from open play this. Goals from open play this tournament.
Yeah, so I mean, I was trying to think back to when they won the World Cup, and I kind of remember them being a bit of a slow, like, they were like a steady force, but they were slow. They didn't really wow anyone, and they just kind of chugged their way to the final. And I do kind of wonder if they're trying the same approach, but like, there's so much talent there, and there's nobody that's like, there's no glitter, there's no stardust. I mean, Mbappe with the mask just doesn't seem to be working for him. And he's always there. He's always there to turn it on a dime, and that could very well still happen, but it hasn't happened yet. So overall, yeah, kind of a meh game.
Yeah. Speaking of meh games, Kev, Portugal. The Portugal game, which was as a game, at Seagull's wedding time, very meh. There wasn't a lot that happened in that game. But I've never seen a side so hindered by their star player, aging star player. It was like watching an under-10s game, which was every corner, every free kick, I'm taking it. He's apparently now he's on 1 goal from a direct free kick in about 60 attempts in tournament football. He doesn't score from direct free kicks very often now in tournament football, and he's still taking them. I'm not being rude, like, Portugal got a lot of cracking players who could take free kicks, not just Ronaldo. Bruno Fernandes is go for them. There's quite a few others that was just like. But did you be honest, Kev? Did you cheer when he missed the penalty though? Sorry, actually, I'll rephrase that. When the penalty was saved, it wasn't a miss. It was a very good save, to be fair.
It was a brilliant save. And he's the one who I really fell for at the end of the game, was Jan Oblak, because he was brilliant. Jan Oblak showed he is one of the best goalkeepers in the world in that game. Portugal had 20 efforts in that game. And for all of their mistakes in their tactical setup, in their team selection, in not picking, in Ronaldo not subbing himself off, because let's face it, Ronaldo runs that team. It's really poor. When you've seen that Rafael Leao was the first sub off, you're scratching your head. You're like, what is going on here? Portugal are a mess. Hats off to Pepe, humble pie I get big slice of it because I didn't think he still had it to give in the tournament. My God, he was brilliant. Have you
heard about Pepe? Do you know?
No.
Do you have a lad who plays for the young lad who played for Spain, whose name's escaped me? The young 16-year-old.
Cabrassi.
Yamal.
Yeah.
Yamal. Yeah.
Apparently, Pepe is 7 years older than his dad.
Yeah.
I was like, and he's still playing at that level. Yeah.
I
was
blown away by Pepe. Nuno Mendes as well. Nuno Mendes had a brilliant game getting up and down the wing. But it was one of those games. Slovenia definitely deserved to get it to penalties. They had that one. I mean, they missed the penalty late on.
Yeah,
Sesko had that one chance at the end, though. He had, he did. All he had to do was either go high over the keeper or go around him. And he decided to do neither and did exactly what 90% of forwards do in that situation and tried to tuck it by the keeper, and the keeper read it.
When was the last time a keeper saved the first 3 penalties in the penalty shootout? Because it's not often that happens, if ever.
It's the first time in Euros that in European Championship history that a keeper has saved 3 penalties in a shootout. And all 3 were so bad. All 3 penalties were the perfect height. There was not enough power in them, and they weren't in the corners. But at the same time, Slovenia did so well to get to the position that they were in that even it went to penalties. Because for all of Portugal's faults and their legion in that game, the only reason that it went that far at all was Jan Oblak had he was brilliant. And it's just a shame that the penalty shootout worked out the way it did, because he got close to a couple of them as well. The Bruno Fernandes penalty was the best penalty I've seen in the whole lot, because he normally does that little Jorginho skip and that little slow down run.
He took that out of his game.
He literally 3 steps, quick run up, bang. All Black was sat there like, I don't know which way he's going. It's just gone past me. What the hell happened? Whereas the rest of them, he looked like he had a chance at all of them. And it was just one of those games. And Portugal through, Slovenia go home. It must be, I think they won their group, didn't they, Slovenia? Did Slovenia win their group and Portugal finish 3rd? Or was it the other way around?
Other way around.
All the way around, because some of the other sides are the ones that we were going to come on to. They were sides who won their group and went home. So the group stage, it just goes to show when you get into the knockout stage of football, getting through the groups is one thing. It just puts you in a position. What happens after that is down to luck, performance, someone's putting their hand up and having a night that you want to remember or you want to forget. And in that Portugal game, you had some players who put their hand up and it's a night to remember, i.e. the keeper. And for Cristiano Ronaldo, it should be a realization that you can't do what you used to do when you were 20 anymore. You just, you're 39 years of age. You can't do what you used to do. And playing in a Mickey Mouse league with 0 competition, it shows when you're coming up against good defenders. I think Skriniar was in that game as well. Was it Skriniar in that one?
Yes.
It's like, I honestly thought Slovenia defended really well. With the chances that Portugal had, Oblak made some good saves, but Portugal were made to work for their chances. So we'll see what happens in the next round, but Portugal have a lot to improve on. And the sickener is as well, when you look at who they had left on the bench who didn't get on, João Felix didn't get on. If you're looking for a player who can drop deep and link play and create space in a low, he's brilliant at doing that. He's not a perfect striker by any stretch of the imagination. But if you want someone to drop in, to drop off, to create a 1-2, to create space for someone, he's very good at doing that. And I thought the misuse of Diogo Jota is such a shame, because he's trying to occupy the space that Cristiano Ronaldo is hobbling in. And, you just want Jota to tell him, piss off out into the right wing and just stand there and do your tricks. Get out of the way and just let me do what I need to do, because he's being so hindered in the way that Portugal are trying to use him. It's just a real shame for him,
Yeah. So, Ashley, I've finally got a good one for you. Romania versus Netherlands, which I'll be honest, and Kev knows how much I love to do research. I generally thought it finished 2-0, and literally I've just found out it finished 3. I at 2-0, I switched it off. Went, oh well, game over. Generally didn't know they made the third. So yeah, tell me about the third. How good was it?
I mean, that for me was like Cody Gakpo's. That was the Cody Gakpo show. The whole, I don't know. I think we've talked a few times about there not being a striker that's sort of like taken this tournament by the neck. And I feel like maybe because we're Liverpool fans, we're not seeing that it might actually just be Gakpo that's doing that. That he might be the striker that's taking this tournament and making it his own. And granted, it's 3 goals. I don't want to get carried away. But, you know, he's the one that stood out. You know, he was making everything happen in that game. Everything that was good was going through him. I mean, I think that they had about maybe a dozen chances to make that game 3-1 by halftime, let alone 3-1 by the end of the game. And yes,
the assist for the second's brilliant because it just doesn't give up because you all think it's gone out and he just gets it back in for Marlon, which is, you know, testament to what we needed. We needed that little bit of something to get themselves over the line to make it a bit more comfortable.
Yeah. And honestly, I think I was distracted during the third one. I think it was at the very end. I think it was Mullen that got the second. I think it was a tap in, but Kev is going to have to correct me if I'm wrong.
Kev, did you see it? Because me and Ashley didn't watch it. Didn't watch the third goal.
Malin got the third on a counter attack.
Okay.
It was literally they had a corner. Romania had a corner. Header came out. He literally ran the full length of the pitch, slowed his run down a bit, checked back. He was on the left-hand side, checked in on his right foot, and just slotted it into the corner. It was a brilliant finish, and it was a reason why that Daniel Malin should be playing through the middle in this Dutch side. I mean, Memphis Depay is the biggest square peg and round hole you've seen, worse than Ronaldo in a side. Because at least with Ronaldo, you know that if he gets into a position to get a chance, odds are in the penalty box, he's going to take it. Or at least he's going to make the keeper work. Flip a coin as to what Memphis Depay is going to do. You know, but Cody Gakpo is brilliant. He's so threatening on that left-hand side. He's so strong. He looks lean. He looks powerful, fit, strong, determined, confident. Everything you want. The Romania started that game off really well. They had a really good 15 minutes, and they were dominant. You know, they had a really good chance early on. Then the Netherlands started to grow into the game. Reinders in midfield started to get onto the ball and pass it and bring others into play and what have you. And eventually, the Netherlands started to grow and grow and grow, and then Gakpo got their goal. And from then on, you know, from the 20th minute on, they just dominated the game. And that's the best that the Netherlands have looked all tournaments. And they finally looked like a Dutch side that resembled the Dutch side. Flawed, but with genius in it. Yeah. And Virgil was dominant. He was really top-notch, led the line really well. De Vries, again, another one. Outstanding centre-back, knows his position inside out. Nathan Ake on the left, substituted later on with Van der Ven.
I like the Dutch do that sub, which is when they know the dominance of a chasing the game, it's Ake off, Van der Ven on, just purely because he's rapid. He's got a decent cross as well. He's got he's decent cross as well, but that's sort of like playing the moments then, isn't that's like if you want to just shut up shop, you leave Ake on.
The other one who was very good on the day was Denzel Dumfries. The reason why, and I think Frimpong is probably the more attacking player, the more creative player, the more likely to get you a goal from that side. Denzel Dumfries is just a better defender.
Yeah,
up and down. He's a much better defender, and he loves it. He loves that wing back stroke, full back role. And he's really, really good. That was the best Netherlands version of the Netherlands I've seen in a long time. And if they keep that up, they're a handful.
What you saw against Austria. because the Netherlands against Austria was just like a bit of a car crash, to be honest.
I don't know if it was or wasn't. I think that game finished 3-2, and we've all raved how
I think 3-2 flat for the Netherlands.
But we raved how organised and how good Austria were, but the Netherlands still had chances in that game to win it as well. So if that's the worst version of the Netherlands, they're still creating goals. I think they've scored 7-8 goals so far in the tournament. Cody's got 3. Daniel Mallin's got 2, I think, maybe 3. Their weak link is Depay, and the problem they have, unfortunately for them, it looks like that Wout Weghorst can't do 90 minutes plus.
Yeah, I think.
He can come on, he can do a job with 20 minutes to go. And to be fair to him, when he did come on and they moved Memphis Depay out onto the left, he looked better for it. He looked freer, and he looked like the Memphis Depay that people remember. He's just not a 9. And I don't think no matter how much he tries, he's never going to be a 9. I think he can do a job there, but don't expect the Earth, Moon, and Stars for him. He will miss more than he bags for the Netherlands. But yeah, that was a really good performance from them.
Yeah, and the final one was Austria versus Turkey. And to be honest, the only criticism you could have of this game was I wish Austria had scored at the end, because I would have quite liked to have seen another half an hour of that game, because it was brilliantly entertaining. The save's great, Kev, right at the end. Let's talk about the save. It is a great save. I would say what does help him, we always tell when strikers are heading the ball is, head it back to where it came from, but head it down. I think the bounce helps him. Yeah,
it took all the pace out of it, didn't it? It was. I mean, to work the chance, they did.
It's still a very good save. I don't want to take away from it, but that serve helps it.
Is that the keeper who's the reserve at Manchester United? Is that the guy who Manchester United signed as the reserve keeper?
I think so.
He's had a good. If it is, he's had a good tournament. He's made some really good saves. It was a really good save, but I think the header down, the bounce took the pace off the ball, and it was just enough. He was far enough out that the bounce was far enough away from him that he could read it a bit better. But it was an outstanding save, and it was one of those things that if there was ever a game that deserved to go to extra time and go all the way, it was that one. It was the best for a neutral. It was the best game of the knockouts, so far, in the fact that I think there were 2 really even sides. They both threatened. They both had a go, and ultimately it was.
Oh, apparently it's a different fella. It's not the same.
Was it a different fella? Okay.
Yeah, he plays at Besiktas.
All right. Okay. All right. Sorry, my bad.
He's still been very good.
He's still been very good. He's still been very good. But Demirel's header, because I remember Demirel when he was at Juventus, I always thought he was a good centre back, but not, put top tier by any stretch. But he was a good player. But that leap, because that's a standing jump for that header, a ridiculous goal from a corner to go 2 up, and I honestly felt at the time it was against the run of play, because I think Austria were growing and growing and growing, and it was starting to come for them. And you think that going 2 down would knock the stuffing out of him, but they go game on here, and you're like, half an hour to go, more or less. I think it was 25 minutes plus injury time to go. And you're like, yeah, this is going to be banging this. And it was. They had a right go. And credit to Austria. They probably overall, I think, deserved at least to go to extra time and what have you. But, fair play to Turkey as well. It's they've got some really good players. Yeah. Güler is at Madrid. He reeks of an Odegaard. What's going on with him at Madrid reeks of Martin Odegaard. That they got him in. They're going to build him up maybe through loans. I don't think he's going to get much games, but I think in a year he's going to be leaving Madrid onto a top team somewhere and kick his career on. Bit lightweight at the moment, bit young, bit raw, but technically he's an outstanding footballer, and he looks like one of those wherever he goes on loan next season, I want to watch him, see how he develops, because he needs to play. And I just don't think he's going to be that guy at Madrid. You know, I don't think he's going to be the guy at Madrid who's going to start 30 games next year, where he needs to go somewhere where he is that. But fair play to them. They're into the quarterfinals, and you're looking at the quarterfinals with them in it. You're like, every single quarterfinal is a toss-up. You know, anyone who gets 4 out of 4 in predictions for the quarters, fair play to you, because there's a lot of guesswork.
We'll try that. We're going to try it in a minute, and then Ashley's going to put us all to shame. That's the way. That's the way this goes, Kev. We've had this constantly. So before we do that, though, links in the description below. Please support our charity campaign. So we've got fans supporting food banks in Liverpool, and we've got the Lighthouse Cafe in Dublin. So there's fans food banks. They're always outside Goodison. They're always outside Tranmere when the women play there, and they're outside Anfield. Times are hard, so it's help people out. And the Lighthouse is a great charity which free food and just helps the homeless. So if you can give, please give. If you can't, share it around your WhatsApp groups. You never know who it'll touch. And let's try and get to our target that we want to get to. So, right, let's start talking about these quarterfinals. So, let's do the Friday night ones, because they're actually probably the better ones, to be honest. So, Ashley, let's do Spain versus Germany. And for the one bit of research I ever do, Spain have never lost to a host nation in a tournament, which is impressive. Is this going to be a first time for them?
I mean, the other fun fact that I can throw at you is that it's been...
I knew you'd outfact me.
40 years since a host country has won the Euros. So you've got a couple of... one of those is going to have to give, I suppose. Because I think the winner of the tournament could come out of this game.
Yeah.
I think these have been the two teams that have actually been chugging along at the pace that you'd expect them to be chugging along. I think that Spain has gears that, we didn't really see early on versus Georgia. And at first you were like, oh, well, maybe Georgia will give it a go. And they did, but Spain just clicked up and up and up and just made light work of them at the end. So, this one is tough. Like, this is probably the toughest one to call. I think Germany has the home advantage, which is to their benefit. But I've said this entire time that I think Spain is the one to beat. And I still am going to stick with that. And I'm going to say that Spain go through here.
Let's go. You know the rules.
I'm going to go 3-1 Spain.
3-1 Spain. Okay. Kev, how are you seeing this one? No sitting on the fence. You're on mute as well, mate.
I just made an absolutely great point, absolutely fantastic point. I swear
no one believes that, Kev.
No
one believes that, Kev. Come on.
All right. I can make a point the other way. I can make the argument the other way. Spain haven't really been tested. And you look at the centre-back pairing of Lemon and Laporte. I think Havertz, Wirtz, Muslera will be able to cause Spain problems that they haven't had to deal with in this tournament so far. It'll be interesting to see how the Spanish wingers cope with Joshua Kimmich and Ram on the left back, as opposed to the full backs that they've been going at so far. So far, the Spanish wingers have been outstanding, but the true player of the tournament for Spain is Fabian Ruiz from midfield. Goals, assists, key moments, engine, run for days. He's been fantastic. But at the same time, you look at the German midfield with Andrich, who loves defending, assuming he's available and he isn't suspended. Gundogan, a lot of these players for both sides know each other inside out. They've played each other week in, week out as well. So there's no fear in the Germans of the Spanish and vice versa, because they know each other so well. I could seriously see Fulkrug being the difference in this game. Fulkrug is, I think, going to be the one who makes the difference. I could see Germany winning this 3-1 with
3-1,
Fulkrug coming
okay.
on and getting a brace in the last 20 minutes.
I have liked Danny Ullman's cameos off the bench. I always think he seems to make a positive impact for Spain.
Yeah.
I'm going to go Spain 2, Germany 3.
I want to watch that game. I want to watch that one.
Yeah. Right. To a really exciting game. I think it's going to be a drab game. This one, Portugal against France, because I don't think I just can't see actually this being an exciting game. And I'll put my cards up. I've got this down as a 2-1 win to France after extra time. I feel like it's going to be one of those sort of games.
Yeah, it's kind of like which superstar shows up. And it's also which superstar takes a step back, because if Portugal continue to play like they're trying to give Ronaldo the third goal in his hat trick, then they're going to suffer, because that's what it's looked like so far. If they can somehow, like, he clearly needs to be in the team because he has an ego the size of the moon. And I mean, in fairness, Portugal has won what they've won because of Ronaldo, and he has a legacy there. So I'm not trying to diss him, but I think they need to figure out a way to allow the other players to shine and have it not just be the Ronaldo show. And I think if they can do that, I think they have a chance to go on and beat France, because I don't think France are awake. They just haven't shown up in the way that I've expected them to show up. And I'm going to throw a little bit of a spanner in the works and say 2-1 to Portugal, if they can get it right. Just because I think they have excitement. And they've shown a little bit more of like a goal scoring threat, in my opinion, than France has.
I just think France will ball them in submission, Kev. But they just haven't been impressed with France. But maybe that's just the way it is. How are you seeing this one?
I think this game is the battle in midfield. Whoever gets to win the battle in midfield probably goes on to win it. Portugal if there's one game that Portugal need to protect their centre-back pairing from pace, is this one. If France can get on top in the midfield and force Portugal into two banks of four with Ronaldo up front and Bruno trying to link the two, it could be a very interesting game, because France don't look like they're going to concede many. Defensively, they look really sound. Mike Maignan in goal hasn't really had to do much. But at the same time, France have pretty much dominated every game they've played, and they haven't had to go the other way too often. So if Palhinha and Vitinha can get a foothold in the game in midfield and from a deeper position set Rafael Leao with the ball in front of him to run into, they can cause France all kinds of problems. I agree. I agree with Ashley. I fancy Portugal to nick it, but I think it'll be a 1-0. For France need Griezmann to have that game. To be the Antoine Griezmann of knockout football, who's just a difference maker. I don't think Kylian Mbappe is having a good tournament. I think he's having a good time, full stop. He's just not looked right. Dembele flatters to deceive, and Marcus Thuram is just not it. I don't know why Marcus Thuram is playing ahead of Olivier Giroud, unless it's the fact that Giroud can't do 90 minutes. That's about the only reason, because Marcus Thuram should be nowhere near that French side. He's just nowhere near good enough. France do have better players on the bench in Barcola than what they're showing in Marcus Thuram. I don't know why they're showing faith in him. Makes no sense to me whatsoever. But I wouldn't mind seeing Portugal nick it, to be honest. I think no matter what happens, whoever comes through in the other semi-final batter the living daylights out of France or Portugal, because they're just better. Hands down, Germany and Spain are both well ahead of these two, just on form at the moment. But football being football, you never really would hang your hat on anything, especially international football. I hope Portugal go through. I do. I'd love to see Jota come back from this with silverware, to be honest. But yeah, and the other side of it is, it looks like Ibu was just there to carry people's kit. He's not going to get a game, so I couldn't care less what.
Well, touch wood. That means he can't get injured. So every time.
You say that,
but then again, you say. I'd say that it'll be announced tomorrow. He's pulled his hamstring, picking a water bottle up or something. That'll just be my luck. Speaking of exciting games, England versus Switzerland. I mean, Switzerland are exciting, actually, but England less so. I'll give you my score prediction here, but again, I think this is another extra time game.
I think it goes to pens, to be honest with you. I wouldn't be surprised. I think if it's going to be decided in regular game time, I actually think Switzerland would go through. But I think that England is just going to do the same, sit back, park the bus, very little risk.
Who would you fancy the penalty shootout, though?
I think England go through on a penalty shootout. Okay. I think just based off of experience of the players. I don't know. I mean, that's giving Pickford a lot of credit, and I don't like doing that.
His penalty record, I think, for England is actually not bad.
It's decent. I just don't like giving him credit of any.
No. He's just a muppet, isn't he? Kev.
I'm just looking here at the form table. For all of the praise that people are giving the Swiss, they beat a poor Italy 2-0. They drew with Germany, but Germany made a shed load of changes. They drew with Scotland, and they beat Hungary. And Hungary are a one-man band. Without Szoboszlai, they're very, very rudimentary. And Hungary were going into this tournament in the worst possible form. Look at England at the other side of it. Boring, get a job done, get out of jail free, really, in their last game. Boring, done nothing. This is again, it'll come down to tactics, and it'll come down to, can England at the back deal with the Swiss wingers? Can their midfield mark Granit Xhaka out of the game? And can England's forwards get on the end of stuff and finish the chances that they've created? It could come down to a moment, an individual bit of brilliance, and it wouldn't surprise me if England win this 2-0. I think they'll get a goal, they'll sit in, and they'll hit him with a second on the break. But it all depends on the lineup that Southgate thinks. If he picks a back four, Switzerland will beat him. If he picks a back five and looks to play to the strength of the players that he has available to him, in Watkins and Ivan Toney, especially up front, players that can run in behind and can cause the centre backs to think going the other way. If they go a lone striker with Harry Kane, the Swiss will have an easy day of it. If they go with two up front, Kane dropping off, like I was saying to you before we come on stream, you remember when Tottenham used to come to Anfield, and Tottenham would play in two banks of four, Kane in a free roll, and Son furthest forward looking for balls to get in behind. If England do something similar like that with Kane and Watkins or Kane and Toney, they could create joy with the players that they have at the back who can ping long balls, who can make that 50-yard pass in behind players and turn players the other way. But it all comes down to Southgate. It wouldn't surprise me. I think England will go through.
I think I've got England going through, but I've got it as 2-1 after extra time. So, right, final game, which I think will be one of the more exciting ones, actually, is Netherlands against Turkey. I actually think this will be quite exciting. The only thing I don't know, Kev, or yourself will correct me, is I think the Turks got a few missing. I know the captain was missing in the last game. I'm assuming he's back, and they've also got a couple of potential suspensions hanging over their heads for gestures made, I would say. So, but as a whole, I actually think this will be quite an exciting game. I expect the Dutch to go through, but I think this will be one of those games, probably a bit like the Austria-Turkey game. We go like, you're just going to be enjoying watching it.
Yeah, I'm particularly looking forward to the fans because I think Turkey has the most insane amount of support, just given the number of people that live in Germany that are of Turkish descent. And I think that the Netherlands fans are just the best ever. Um, so between the two of those, I think it's just going to be extremely entertaining from that regard. But I also just think it's two teams that have actually shown a little bit of courage and a little bit of willingness to go at each other. And they're not these timid sides that we've seen in Belgium or France or England. So I think it should be exciting. I mean, I will say that Turkey did lose to the Netherlands 6-1 last March. So there's a precedent for them to basically get tanked. But I mean, I think they're going to give it a good fight. I don't know how much that last game took out of them, because I don't think the Netherlands I don't think they had to go 100% for that game, for their game. But I think Turkey did. That was like a hell for leather, downpour, crazy fight to the death. And I don't know if you saw that clip, but there's a great clip at the end of the game at the final whistle where all of the Turkey players just dropped to the ground.
Yeah,
like,
you can see it.
Instantaneously. Yeah. So, whether from fatigue or just relief, I think that they're probably going to be a little bit more spent than the Netherlands. So I think the Netherlands go through comfortably, 3-1.
3-1. Okie dokie. Kev, what you go for this one? Last one.
You're on mute again.
Yeah, no, I think the Netherlands go through. It'll be a bit of an end-to-end game. They're going to be missing. I think the Turkish are missing a couple of important players as well. The Netherlands, I think, card-wise, are in a decent spot at the minute. I just hope Gakpo carries on his form and gets the confidence from it. If he does, he's a lovely player to watch. Love watching him in this role as well, because he stays wide and he drifts in late. He doesn't get involved into the box until he absolutely has to. He's playing this role absolutely brilliantly. Turkey, they're head-to-head. I think the Dutch have 4 wins, Turkey have 2, and 1 draw. Turkey haven't kept a clean sheet in their last 5 either, so there will be goals in this one. Fancy the Netherlands to go through though. It sets up semi-finals, potentially England, Netherlands, and the other semi-final, Spain or Germany against France or Portugal. They're all big nations. They're all capable of moments. Anyone genuinely can win this. It is wide open. I don't think this is the one thing this tournament hasn't shown. Apart from Spain, I think Spain have looked a standout side. Everyone else have looked good or bad. There's no standout to say, yeah, this side is definitely going to run away with this. I'd include Spain in that. I think for all of Spain's good on the eye football, they haven't been tested genuinely. The size they've beaten, they should be beating. And I don't think they've had to. I don't think they've been pushed, and we'll see what happens when they're pushed.
It's a double-edged sword.
It is.
You can say they've not been tested, so when they do get tested, it's going to be a surprise to them, or they've not been tested, so they're going to be the fresher side. So actually, it's going to help them. And to be honest, I think it's just whether you're glass half full, glass half empty. There's probably no right or wrong way of looking at that. But I know what you're meaning with Spain is they've got the job done and probably got the job done with a little bit of style, which is probably where some of the criticism of the Frances of the Englands is. Yes, they've got the job done, but the games where you're going, you'd expect them to have won that with probably a bit more flair, a bit more ease than they have. Listen, you're through. But do you know what I mean? If France or England had played the way Spain had in these games and gone through, I think actually they would be more confident as a fan base going, well, okay, I can see what we've got going for us, but I think that's where the pessimism comes in with these sort of things. Which, to be fair, Germany in general have been fairly entertaining, I would say. They weren't fantastic at Denmark, but pretty good still. So all in all, are we all looking? I'm actually looking forward to this weekend. This with the Euros. I enjoy tournament football anyway, but this is where tournaments get fun now. Quarters and semi-finals is where all the big games come, and there's also Copa America, which we're not previewing, but there's Uruguay, Brazil. Kev, is that Saturday night?
I'm just looking through there now. No, Saturday night you've got Venezuela, Canada. and Colombia against Panama. Let's have a quick look there. Sunday, Uruguay, Brazil.
That'll be a cracking game.
That's the standout. You'd expect the winner to come out of that fixture, but I'm just having a quick look there to see who Argentina have.
Ecuador.
Argentina have Ecuador. They're the Argentina and Uruguay to me are two. I don't know, Ashley. Are they slated to play each other before a final?
No, I think Argentina have got a pretty easy run.
Yeah, I mean,
to the final.
Argentina, Ecuador. I expect Argentina to get through. Venezuela, Canada. I expect. No offense, Matt. I expect Venezuela to get through. I mean, I think it's hard to argue that Argentina don't get to the final. I think Colombia versus whoever the winner of Uruguay versus Brazil is going to be outside of the final. I think that's going to be the match to watch. And I mean, I was saying this the other day in the chat. The nice thing is that we're guaranteed to either get Darwin or Ali to come home on Saturday. One of them is going to come back. And then by Wednesday, we'll have either Diaz or whoever wins to come back. So we get two big players coming back to the AXA by next Wednesday, which, I mean, from a Liverpool perspective is great. Although I want to see them do well. I mean, I think Darwin has been great in this tournament. I mean, he had, I think it was like 7 games in a row that he had scored. He didn't score against the U.S., but he looked good. And he has looked good. And I think Diaz has looked good as well. So if we are looking to sell him, it's doing him no harm whatsoever, his value. I'll park that for now. But yeah, it's been an exciting tournament. If you guys have time to watch it, I know it's really, really late for you guys, but it's been an exciting tournament. The referee levels are not quite that great. They make England look actually competent, which is saying something. And there's a hell of a lot of tackles that are being let go. So, this
sounds great already, Kev. I think we should watch this. This sounds
it's
right
fun.
down the street.
It's fun.
This is typical Copa America, though. The tackles do fly, and
it's great.
The referees are very liberal with how they interpret some, because you've seen players getting sent off for stuff, and you're like, why? And then you're seeing nothing given for absolute hatchet jobs. A right throwback to the 1970s. But I'll just have a quick look at some of the newspaper back pages for tomorrow. Apparently, Arsenal have a bid for Ricardo Calafiori rejected. Manchester United will consider a sizable offer for Bruno Fernandes, and Real Madrid are interested in William Saliba.
Interesting.
We'll see how it plays out. But as sides are coming home now, the transfer rumor mill is starting to kick into gear. And, the more and more sides that get knocked out, the busier. Because it's the one thing with this transfer market, because so much is going on with players away at tournaments, the window for getting business done is really, really split in half now. You've got clubs who are going to want to get stuff done at the start of July, so that they can get their bids in. Players can go and have their holiday and report back to their new clubs, or it's going to go down to the last week.
And you've got the joy. And you've got the joy of the Olympics as well now for some.
Well, the one good thing I read today from a Liverpool point of view is that none of our players will be released for the Olympics for anyone. Mm-hmm. So Endo and Mo Salah won't be going to the Olympics.
Yeah, they've both been omitted down there, which is good for us.
It is what it is, because it's not a FIFA competition. And at the end of the day, we've got a new manager. We're going into a season that's potentially a transition where a lot of things, it's a lot of change, a lot of upheaval. You don't want players missing unnecessarily for a meaningless tournament just because they want to feel fuzzy inside. Get a grip. It's not a real sport. It's not a real sport in the Olympics.
I think I saw an article yesterday that Egypt was trying to tempt Mo because they were trying to make him the guy that holds the flag. And I'm like, I don't think that's a good enough reason for him to miss our preseason just to hold a flag. I know it's it's a big honor for him. But I'm glad that both of them are staying home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, I love the Olympics. I will be glued to the Olympics like you wouldn't believe. I will not watch a single minute of Olympic football. None. No interest in it whatsoever. It's an under-23 competition. And any under-23 who's worth their soul are at their clubs because that's where they should be.
Get on the hockey. That's the one to watch.
Nah. No, I love the athletics. I absolutely love the athletics. And
I like watching the diving when you have to try and guess the score because obviously none of us have a clue. That's a
we just look for the splash. That's all we do. We all look for the splash. If there's a big, huge splash, that's shit. It's 10 meters up in the air, and he's done about 5 or 6 somersaults and twists and turns and turns himself into a presto, and he makes a little tiny splash, and we're all dissing the guy for it.
Is that big where you guys are? Like watching diving?
No, I just pick a random sport. I don't watch like handball. I don't watch diving or handball, so I just watch them, and then you pretend you're an expert within two minutes of watching it. I mean, the Chinese when you watch diving is ridiculous.
I love the gymnastics as well. Weightlifting. When you see guys who are about 9 stone and they're lifting like 30 stone and weight, you sat there like, yeah, you're on drugs. You're riddled. You shake when you walk, don't you? Yeah, you obviously.
I always find the heptathlon and the decathlon impressive because it's ridiculous to have to do, to be that consistent over that many sports in 2 days.
Yeah,
it's such a hard. They're so hard to win. I'm just like, that's proper athletes, that, because it's ridiculous what they have to do.
Yeah,
so
I mean,
we have to do a watch now for the Olympics, you and me, just us guessing what we think scores will be.
Mate, I'm just going to be watching all as much as I can. I've been lucky. I think the last Olympics, for whatever reason, I was home, and I don't know why, but I was home for 3 weeks. I must have been either off sick or I was off. I might have hurt my back or something, and I was off. But I watched every single bit of it from like 7 a.m. right the way through. I loved it. But I always have. I've always been, because it's like, it's all the sports that you know a little bit about. You know enough about to create an interest, so that you're not watching like basketball. I love watching the basketball because you're watching. I know enough about the sport to know that I know what's going on, but I'm nowhere near an expert, so I can watch it and appreciate it for what it is, rather than watch it and critique it and be invested and have care about it. I just want to watch it for watching it and enjoy it. I generally do.
I can't get into the walking race though.
That's not a real race. That's not real. Although in fairness, we had Rob Heffernan from Cork. He's his son is playing for. He was at AC Milan. I don't know where he is now. He transferred from, I think it was Cork City to AC Milan. But Rob Heffernan is from Cork and has an Olympic medal for walking. And at the end of the day, fair play to you, because when you watch them and the discipline that they have to go through to be able to do that sport, I mean, what makes you get into walking in the first place? Well, in fairness, I had to get home for my dinner after the pub, and she said, "Get your best foot forward," and so you did. That's how you got into walking. It's weird sport, but at the end of the day,
is it the high jump with the pole? I was watching, thinking, it looks impressive. Do you know you can do that? What's the thing? We go, yeah, sure, I reckon I could do that. Just like.
Diving you can understand, because diving you go up and up and up the grades.
Yeah,
what made you think I'm going to get a big, huge, long pole and jump over like 18 feet?
Yeah, and
think that's a good idea.
And that how do you figure out you're going to flip over just to push it back, just to make sure you don't knock it over? But I do look at thinking like, where do you know you could do that? Where does that go up in the conversation?
When is it? It's at the beginning of August, isn't it? Is it the beginning of August it starts? Yeah, it should be good. It will be fun.
Should be good fun. Anyway, sorry, it's 11:10. Sorry, random tangent there, talking about the Olympics. I'm sure that'll go up again as a conversation. Should get a fill on it.
100%. Good God, no.
But there's lots to look forward to. There's the Olympics. There's the press conference on Friday morning.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That should be good. So people coming back for preseason, actual LFC content. Those are all good things.
Ask you guys in the chat, actually, one question. What question are you hoping that Arne Slot gets asked? Because this thing with the first press conferences, it's normally like a get to know you, a lovey-dovey stuff. But
There's always a snippet in there that they want.
Yeah. What are you hoping that he's going to be asked?
That's a good question.
Well, as you go, Chris, what are you hoping that one of the
you're gonna prep me for this?
What if you're Paul Joyce and you're going into the press conference and you got your tape recorder down there, what are you asking Arne Slot?
I generally it looks like who's coming in, which he's never going to tell you. Contract renewals. So that's about contract renewals. I don't think you'll hear about that. I just want to come out of that press conference with the belief that he's going to have a go for the league this year. That's all I want. The belief is not. That's all I want. Is what's the plan? Go for the league. Well, if you win it, you don't win it. It doesn't matter. But go for the league. Go with that mentality. Not. We'll see how it goes. You
don't want top four chat.
No top four chat. No, like, I've got to get my methods in. I want to be saying this, and he sort of hinted it, and he says, this squad got 82 points, but we know that's not enough to beat City, so we want to do better. That's kind of what I wanted to imply or hint is what's your aim this year? Title challenge. That's it. If I hear that or words to that effect, I'll be quite content.
Ashley, what do you think?
I just want to get excited about it. So I want to know what he's looking forward to. I don't know. Is there something that he's seen in the players that he's looking forward to implementing? I think we've been waiting to hear from him for such a long time that I just want to get back into it. I don't know if the dinosaur will work, but that would be fun.
Do you know what? Part of me will go, that was just thrown. If you were a dinosaur, which one would you be? Actually, you're like, Kev, which dinosaur would you be?
That's not for me to say.
Well, I mean, technically, I can say Brachiosaurus. That's pretty close to the name, couldn't I? But they're quite boring.
Are you a veggie?
No, that's why.
Brachiosaurus is a veggie dinosaur. They're a Vegisaurus. They're a Vegisaurus.
Yeah, right. We best go.
Steve has the best question there. Steve has a really good question. Why are so many managers bald? Is it that much of a high pressure job? But it is the Baldies are taking over.
Going on with all of his little, all of the people that he has in his team, they're all bald.
Listen, our record with baldy refs isn't great, so maybe because he sees there's a fellow baldy in the dugout, we might get some decisions our way. Maybe that's the
logic.
That's the hidden logic. Maybe that's the
Michael Edwards playing 4D chess.
Yeah, that's why he go for Alonso. Too much hair. Nice hair. That's not going to work.
He's too good looking. That's what it is. He's too good looking.
Maybe that's why Mo shaved the hair. Maybe he's like, I'll get more friends.
It's a thing. It's a thing. We're going with it.
Short hair or no hair will get you penalties.
If Virgil comes back as a baldy, then
that
you
would
know
be
it's
very
a thing.
Then it's on. I can't see Virgil want to cut his hair though, could you?
No, I think he loves his hair too much.
Darwin are on the absolutely no way train.
Do you know what? I can see 100%. Darwin just coating a mohawk. Just for shits and giggles, because I just think he's that mental.
Just going full Vidal with the little spikes.
What's his name? What was that player's? Because he was part of the news conference the other day.
Yeah, he's got normal hair.
Hamsick.
He's got a normal haircut.
Yeah, I love it because people didn't recognize him. He gave a story that he was sat in. He thought he was being asked to take a picture because he told these Georgian fans that he knew Goran Pandev. And they weren't. They were giving him his camera to take a picture of them. And then he explained, I'm so-and-so Hamsick. They didn't recognize him at all. And when I had to take 2 or 3 takes before I recognized him. But he had the maddest hair in football, without a shadow of a doubt.
Good player.
Never seen anything like him. Because he did that on purpose.
Well, I think if it had won the quadruple, Kev, you'd have done the same.
This is a good point, but we never did, so we'll never know.
It's like an open-ended challenge, that Kev. If we ever do
that is an open-ended challenge, and if it happens, I swear to God, I will do it. I'll be like 65 years of age, going out for my pension with the Mohawk. So, but they've got time. That's the challenge, Arna. That's your first question. How are you going to deal with quad?
How are you going to deal with Kev having a mohawk? Who's Kev? That answer the question. And how are you going to deal with this situation? Right.
He's got to be a special guest. Members only.
Anything else from you, Ashley, before we go?
No. No, I think that was a good place to end. Dinosaurs and haircuts.
Yeah.
Exactly where we started. One
bit of LFC women's news, if you haven't seen it. They have made their first signing of the summer. A young Canadian called Olivia Smith, who we've broken the club record for. So, don't know much about it. Exciting young winger, but could also play as a 10. So, fingers crossed.
Made her debut for Canada at 15. I read today.
She's only 19 now, so you know.
No, she's 22 or 23 now, but she's been around senior football for a while. Yeah, she's at Lisbon, coming from Lisbon to Liverpool. Big fee for Liverpool. And in fairness, one thing about the women's game, and just finish on it a sec. I saw a thing where Blackburn Rovers are going to be paying their women the minimum wage, and Manchester United are looking at their women's side now as an afterthought. It's they've lost Mary Earps and they've got absolutely no interest in the women's side whatsoever. I'm glad that Liverpool are taking the women's league seriously and investing that kind of money, because it means that we're ready to kick on and hopefully challenge for honours in the next years. You know, next season and the season after, to really push it and get into Europe. And you're spending 200 grand on a young talent like that. It only bodes well for the women's game.
Yeah, she's only 19. Just checked. She's still
is 19. It? Okay. But she made her debut for Canada.
But yeah, but she made her debut at a ridiculously young age. So, you know, exciting. That's what Liverpool should be doing. So, anyway, come on. It's 11:20. We'll best let these people go. Right. Keep your eye out. We will have a show tomorrow. I think Matt is doing a transfer show. So, and I'm sure we'll have more stuff coming up as the week goes on. Until then, see you later.